the links. Join channel here over at Subscribestar. So Netflix's new cultural bullshit propaganda piece is coming out. Cleopatra, glory, Greek for, of course, glory of the Father. I don't care what they teach you in school. Oh, you can see you can go on YouTube and watch the preview for Netflix's upcoming show, which is probably as close as you'll get to watching the show because nobody's going to watch it on Netflix. What a challenging video to make on YouTube. Keep in mind throughout all of this is that movies are the best propaganda tool on earth. Hollywood is not profit motivated. That's midwit level thinking. And I hear, and this is coming from a midwit myself, I hear idiots. And the thing is, I was thinking about that is like, you can be a midwit and still look back at the Matrix and go, there are still smart people who are in the Matrix. Like, leaving the Matrix doesn't automatically make us smart. It just makes us leave the Matrix. But we are in a better position to even the very, very intelligent people who are still stuck in this Matrix, who are there for psychological reasons. They have these psychological blocks and programming in place where sometimes just because I'm a midwit or maybe you're a midwit also, it doesn't that's not like such an insult, because the people who are less likely to want to please other people, who have a little bit more of an argumentation, and I see this more on the right with the constant bickering, which is usually a good thing, is that it makes you less likely to stay in a herd where even high IQ, blue-pilled people who are stuck in this matrix, they're smart, but they have these psychological blocks in place where they just deflect away from certain arguments until you just keep bringing it back to them, and then they start to leave the matrix. Anyway, so no, Hollywood is not profit motivated. That's just, matrix thinking. And I hear idiots on the left and the right both make that assumption, and then there's mountains of evidence to the contrary to that, and you just keep hitting people with this evidence. You go like, so they're profit motivated, yet they repeatedly make these business decisions. So something's not in accord with reality here. They're chasing profit, but they're making things that seem ideologically motivated because they're willing to sacrifice profit. At some point, you have to see this. And that's the point when you start to realize, oh, I'm in a Matrix. I'm in a Keanu Reeves movie. So here's the thing. Nobody is outraged or touching grass or fingering a woman while going outside. Yikes, my guy, just yikes. Or pressed or grass fingering or whatever, because nobody's going to even go sailing the high seas for this kind of stuff. The Bounding article is the closest we're going to come to this. One of their arguments is old Hollywood movies. They mentioned some John Wayne movie. But the thing is, the difference in old Hollywood movies is the actors tried to portray, if they were playing Asian characters, they tried to physically make themselves look like the Asian characters. This is different. This is, you're actually saying, no, the Egyptians were African, or the Greeks, Macedonians were actually a sub-Saharan African. That's a whole different thing as opposed to like putting on makeup to make your skin look fair. The thing is, if swapping actors in movies from the 50s and 60s, was that wrong? Because if it is, if you're using that as a negative example, why are you condoning that behavior today? And the thing is, you get on Twitter, you'll see a lot of left of the bell curve thinking. Like, there's not even a lot of midwits in Twitter arguing about movies. So they say that ethnicity is important for Africans. I mean, the things they say on Twitter are just like, there's a lot of really dumb people who've got access to smartphones, and they get on Twitter and they make arguments, and within their own little argument, they're contradicting themselves. And you point it out to them, and they just call you, they just ad hominem you, and it's like you point out the ad hominem, and they don't understand what you're talking about. So they say ethnicity is important for them, but not for us, because, I mean, obviously we disagree. We feel it's important because we value us. If anything, our in-group preferences are growing stronger every day, especially when we see how much hatred is out there. That is one of the good things about the past few years is the honk pilling, I guess, effect for people to understand game theory and understand that you have to have in-group preferences. So this type of movie is just asinine rage bait, and there's a lot of pushback from the Egyptians, and even surprisingly from some of the Sun people are coming out and they're like, yeah, this doesn't really help, just because you're saying essentially that Africans don't have stories to tell, so you're taking away stories from other people. So it's something that's just so purposely absurd. It forces people to talk about it and Netflix. the Afrocentrism or something, or supremacy, Afro supremacy. It's painfully cringe. But the thing is the source, is it really fair to blame Africans for this, or is the source Hollywood behind the scenes being the grim of worm tongue the whole time, always fomenting discord with their machinations? You need a Gandalf to come rolling up in there. Keep in mind, this is just a paycheck to the people working on the show. They're just following the dollar. It's Netflix that makes this possible. I don't think the Sunmen own their own network. I don't think they own Netflix or really any network. Someone in the YouTube comments says, your favorite part of the movie will be the smoke alarm battery going off and the girl eating cornstarch for the camera, which is a meme that's going around. I guess I don't even really know what the cornstarch thing is. I guess it's sweet, so they like sell it as a candy or something. But the smoke alarm thing is that's true. That's just like there needs to be a national push to get 9-volt batteries, or design smoke alarms to run on lower voltages. Like 2 AA batteries would probably have greater capacity than whatever. Oh, and the YouTube comment section is super based, Chad pilled, honk pilled, and just whatever other FBI catchword is in there. You can find it. You can read watch the trailer on YouTube. It's a blast to read the comments. So nobody's going to watch it. Nobody is expected to watch it. Netflix doesn't care. I don't think it gets people to talk about Netflix. Oh, wait, really, with smoke alarms, why don't you just make a USB C rechargeable battery in there, like a pretty decent capacity, like using an 18650 battery, and like you could just, instead of getting on a ladder change the battery, you just hook up a wire and charge it or something. Seems like there could be an improvement on smoke alarm technology. Anyway, so nobody's going to watch it. Nobody's expected to watch it. Netflix, I don't think, cares, because the point is to get people to talk about Netflix, and it gives fuel to the narrative of this, the people like you, the humiliation ritual of a conquered people. They're telling you how much they hate you and how pathetic you are because you keep paying for Netflix for $16 a month, which absolutely true. If like Netflix, I think they're the ones that did the Cuties movie. That was it's a French movie. No, actually, it was not a French movie. It was an African Israeli production, but I think it was filmed in France. Anyway, and they always say never insult the audience. And maybe if I had a channel like 10 times the size, I would start lying. But if you pay for any of this bullshit Hollywood propaganda, you probably enjoy watching your blow-up doll waifu get railed by other nerds. It's absolutely pathetic to support these Hollywood culture vulture companies. And I got to say on Twitter is that there is starting to be this pushback against it, because now you're not just swapping out the red-haired, blonde-haired characters. You're swapping out the Egyptians, and Egyptians don't give two S's about Afrocentric, Afro-supremacist Americans. Like there's a whole different beast. It's like when the conflict, there's conflict on Twitter with, who's that guy, John Laguza or something? He's talking about that Italian movie. The whole thing is, God, he's freaking bizarre. It's like I don't know, vaguely Spanish, right? But he's not Italian at all. He's talking about there needs to be Latino people in the Italian movie. It's like, do you mean Latin, like the Latin language? You need Italian people in the movie? Like, none of this makes sense. But there's conflict with that, because he said Latino people built America, and suddenly the Sunman crowd got in that audience and lost their freaking minds. So that's the point, is like the conflict between the Latin or the Egyptian is an entirely different ball game, because like they take the gloves off because they just don't, like, they don't have any political correctness, they don't have any they don't have to virtue signal, they just don't give a f. Anyway, so all these networks are run by Lucifer worshipping Epstein Island types. If you pay them, there's something wrong with you, and I don't even mean to go sail the high seas with this kind of stuff. Is there anything out there worth watching at all? People, oh yeah, so Netflix, they did Cuties, right? So after that, like, how would you support a company like this at all? You're supporting actual demon people. So people on Twitter were preemptively defending Captain Marvel Part 2 that's coming out, the Marveling or something, and calling everyone who didn't like it a bunch of Chad Hugo bosses. But there were so many people who said it looked stupid that seemed to be the consensus. And because, like, the 3 lead actors, none of the actors are of European origin, so there was a lot of other Sun men who were in the audience, the comment section, saying, "Oh yeah, this looks like because Monica Rambeau, right? They go, yeah. This looks like dog food. So you had a bunch of like virtue signaling SJWs who have to attack these black guys, calling them Chad Hugo Boss, and it's like you find yourself. So you're on the left, you're some virtue signaling SJW, and you're defending $1 billion Disney. That's a weird flex. You're on the left. You're on the left, right? And you're defending the $1 billion company, and you're calling a black guy a Hugo Boss. Like, you realize how subverted and corrupted you must be to get to this point. Go, we're just like, yeah, you're just not doing anything. I mean, you're doing what the puppet masters tell you to do. Anyway, then they pointed out that Captain America or Marvel, the first one, was a massive success, and it was. But they started to list off the Marvel movies that are, I guess this is Phase 4, came after that big Avengers fight movie where they fought Galactus or Thanos or something. And there's been a lot of underperforming films lately. Most recently, Ant-Man, I think, is tracking to lose money. So it does look like Marvel is kind of having to go in a different direction or recast everyone and start over. But I will say, I think Captain Marvel 2 is going to be a moderate success because it dialed expectations down. It's going for the kids' audience. It's kind of they're going a different direction with it. And they said they enjoyed the Ms. Marvel streaming show, even if it wasn't a huge hit. But my point was that actually, it does seem like everything is really lame now. And yeah, they're better words, but they're not allowed on YouTube. So anyway, Cleopatra, glory of the father in Greek. This is not a subject for debate. People argue over where exactly some of these people came from. But they go, it's Africa. North Africa is not sub-Saharan Africa. It's an entirely different environment than sub-Sahara. They have pictures, they have sculptures, and DNA tests on these people. Some of them had red or blonde hair. They were never in a million years considered to be sub-Saharan. That's just insane. The Kush Empire was also not sub-Saharan. The odds of that are 1,000,000 to 1. People come up with a lot of copium theories, but I'd be embarrassed to try to claim this one because the evidence is overwhelming. It'd be like me saying that, oh no, they're actually German and had blonde hair and blue eyes. Because I feel it, it's true. And if I feel it's true, it's true. It's like, well, I mean, I guess if I can be a woman nowadays, then I guess I could just recreate history and say anything I want. So I think this chick was mostly considered Greek, but a lot of other mummies had DNA that was closer to your average Englishman. And all these DNA studies came out kind of before the 2020 woke soft Bolshevik revolution, where the scientists weren't even thinking. It's like, oh, we did these DNA studies, and like they're more common with the modern day Englishmen than any other group on Earth, which is like what makes all this so stupid. Like on the level of the Woman King, stupid. Somebody said the Homie Tribe, the Woman King movie was like 12 years a slaver. But to say the obvious, this is a paycheck for everyone involved, and that's the only thing the actors and crew are thinking about. And as you know, they just hope the series goes on a long time. It's just a credit for them. And as for Will Smith's insane wife, she just wants to be out there in the public light, and this feeds her ego, even if it is insane, and it really is. And she seems to be also a little bit crazy. The Sub-Saharans were just not doing this type of stuff, and I'm actually kind of familiar with a lot of Sub-Saharan history. I got into it from fiction, but then went into nonfiction. It's a fascinating history, but it's a simpler one, and people hear that word and they lose their minds because in their worldview, they think a more complicated society is a better one, and a simple society is an insult. Even that framing doesn't make any sense. It's like saying Saturn is better than Jupiter, or a crocodile is better than a deer or something. It's like they occupy different areas. Anyway, you know what? I'll leave it at that because really a challenge to make videos on YouTube. And a lot of videos I look at, and I know the comment section is just not gonna be cool, so I just skip the video because it's like YouTube knows all the dog whistles, all the backwards spelling, or all the little icons and stuff like. Oh, hey, Sarah Silverman and Seth Rogen made a movie. It's like, are you gonna cover it? Probably not a good idea. Why? Because one, it's hard enough to just keep from losing my mind, but also the comment section is going to be like the thing is, there's phrases that will get you in trouble that are not there's a phrase from these guys who were in some city, and they were loudly saying how they were the descendants of royalty, and they came up with a phrase that said that. And they themselves were the ones saying this phrase. We were descendants of royalty. It's like, well, technically weren't everyone, at least at some tribal level, the descendants of royalty. But if you repeat that phrase, you'll get in trouble. And it's like, but the video clip is still on YouTube. You can go watch them. They're the ones who are screaming it at the top of their lungs. I mean, they're mentally ill people, right? But if you repeat what they actually said, like, your channel will get a strike or you'll get deleted. It's like, none of that makes sense. Like, yeah, YouTube has a narrative. You can post videos of malicious behavior, but only if people look like you are doing it to other people. You can't post it in certain directions. It's like, that's insane. Control the narrative. It's like, yeah, it's their platform. It's kind of this detrimental reliance concept that people are on YouTube, and which is why it's so imperative to leave YouTube for even Rumble is a step in the right direction, and Odyssey is just way, way better. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys all next episode.